Welcome back to another edition of 30 Teams in 30 Days here on Inside the Zone with Mateo. So glad you decided to click on this video. And as always, I hope you are going to be entertained. For those who may not know what 30 Teams in 30 Days is or who I am, well, here you go. My name is Mateo and I host all the podcasts here on the channel. And 30 Teams in 30 Days is our special summer series. There are 30 days in the month of June and there are 30 teams in the NBA. And I said, we're going to take a break from our normal Minnesota sports coverage every Tuesday, every Thursday with some shorts and live streams and stuff in between, and stop that and do one episode every single day through the month of June. Try to get some fun content out for you guys. And that's exactly what we've been doing for the last 18 days. And now make it 19 because it's day 19 of our 30 teams in 30 days where we, take a deep dive into each NBA team during the month of June. So we take a look at their recap of the season, which we'll do momentarily for this new team. And then we kind of preview their offseason, what I would do, or just some other ideas. And it's not necessarily all realistic moves. It's just types of moves that I think these teams or these individual teams could make. I'm Mateo. As I mentioned already before, if you do like this content, if you've been watching a couple of these episodes and you've not already, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any other content so we can keep this content going. So without further ado, it's going to be the Atlanta Hawks today. We just did the Phoenix Suns. We go in order from worst record to best record. So the Wizards, we started with 17 wins all the way to the 64-win OKC Thunder. And yes, there's a big X on the left side because we're over halfway. After today, we're going to only have 10 teams left. It's absolutely insane. We got my Minnesota Timberwolves coming up in a couple of days. Y'all know I'm going to have fun with that one. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's the Atlanta Hawks' turn. Mateo's show batting order. If you guys don't know what this is, if you've been around for a little bit, maybe you do. Basically, no matter what video, if it's 30 teams in 30 days, or we're just talking about the Twins or the Wild or something, every episode is going to begin with a show batting order where, it's just like a little show roadmap to kind of see where this car is moving through this episode. Are we going left here? Are we going straight? Are we going backwards? Well, and the five things, well, that's what it is. And the 5 things that are actually on here every single episode for 30 teams in 30 days is how well did they do last season, who they should draft, who they should keep, who they should target, and what is their early ceiling and floor. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy Atlanta Hawks time. And now we start with the 2025-2026 season. We're going to recap the Atlanta Hawks record. We're taking a look at some of the player stats. And I'm just going to give an overall assessment of what I think of the Atlanta Hawks. And here's a quick disclaimer. You guys, I tried to warn you a couple episodes ago. The Charlotte Hornets and the Atlanta Hawks, those two teams I glaze a lot. So I apologize if you don't think some of this stuff is realistic. There's a little glaze in here. I really like what the Atlanta Hawks are doing. I'm not even a Hawks fan. I'm a Timberwolves fan. But as for them, let's get into it. Here we go. The recap, they were 46-36. They got hot at the right amount of time. They were kind of a low-end play-in team for the most part of the year, and then at the second half of the season, they just started winning so much. They ended up as the 6th seed. They played the New York Knicks, who eventually did win the NBA championship just a couple days ago. And they actually gave the Knicks their hardest opponent, right? They were able to beat the Knicks twice. No other team was able to beat them more than once, if any, right? Some teams got swept by the Knicks. Some teams only got 1 win, and the Hawks were able to get 2 wins. Actually, they jumped out to a 2-1 lead and then unfortunately lost 3 straight. But Jalen Johnson had an all-NBA type of year that he was their top scorer, top assister, top rebounder. And actually, after such a successful season, they have 2 first-round picks. They have the 8th overall pick via, I believe, New Orleans, and then the 23rd overall pick, which was, I believe, their own pick. So it's a very great setup. They're thrown into a really good position right now. And before we, talk, off-season, we're obviously going to take a look at some stats. So as I already mentioned, Jalen Johnson had one heck of a season, almost averaged a triple-double. He played 72 games, 22.5 points per game, 10.3 rebounds per game and 7.9 assists per game, actually including 1.2 steals also a game. So he was getting it done offensively, but also defensively. He's one of my favorite two-way players in the league right now. Former Timberwolves, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Man, I really wish Na was still with the Timberwolves, but he won Most Improved Player well-deservingly. Out of the, he played 78 of the games, of the regular season. 71 of them, he was the starter. 20.8 points off the bench. Well, really starting, excuse me, was his points per game average. He was averaging also 3.4 rebounds per game and 3.7 assists per game. Really amazing performance from one of my favorite former Timberwolves players, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Obviously, Trae Young, he got traded for CJ McCollum, so we can look past Trae Young. So CJ McCollum, though, in 41 games played, he actually had a great postseason. Definitely probably earned a little bit more money as he's going to enter the free agency market right now in the upcoming days. But in the time he got to play, he played 41 games. He averaged 18.7 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. Kristaps Porzingis ended up getting traded away from ATL. He went to Golden State, so he only played 17 games with the Atlanta Hawks. Onyeka Okongwu, though, stepped into the starting center role a majority of the time in 74 games, 63 of them starting, 15.2 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, and 2.7 assists. Jonathan Kuminga was involved in that Kristaps Porzingis trade. He only played 16 games with the Hawks, towards the end of the season. Dyson Daniels in 76 games. He definitely kind of had a rough season, but he was able to stay healthy. 11.9 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, and 5.9 assists per game. Zachary Richase, unfortunately, didn't really get it going. Former first overall pick. Of course, we will talk about some potential trade targets or trades that, could work for Zachary Richase because that's definitely been in the news lately. But yeah, I mean, Austin Newell got a little chunk of time playing here. And overall, just this Atlanta Hawks team, if I gave like one word, if I got one word for the season to sum it up, it would probably be encouraging. You could go surprising, you could go rewarding, you could go successful, but encouraging is the perfect word because not only were you able to have a shot to beat and upset the New York Knicks, who would eventually go on to win the NBA title, you also got hot at the right time. Like, you started pretty bad. If you would have played a little bit better, you could have been a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. Third, Jalen Johnson took that next step that you wanted him to, take, right? He absolutely played his butt off in every single game. He was a true competitor. 4, just you're young. This team is very young in general, but we all saw from almost every single player, no matter how bad some of them did struggle, you saw some sparks, some little things that were like, oh, that's noticeable. And I think, they can definitely learn from this. And also, there's another thing. Number 5, they got playoff experience. Now they get that knocked out. I feel like they were super young too entering the playoffs. They needed some experience, very unexperienced team, and they were able to get that experience. I actually came on my NBA predictions. You can find this. I said in the entire Eastern Conference, this is why I picked the Hawks to upset the Knicks. I said the Knicks would probably win the East if they weren't playing the Atlanta Hawks. I stood my ground. And today, I think that's a very good take. I said the Hawks were the hardest opponent for the Knicks to play. And the Hawks almost did it, bro. The Hawks almost upset the NBA champions. And, who knows what would have happened if they would have beaten the Knicks in round 1. But it's just very encouraging. They're super close. The East is not as competitive, so you don't have to be as good. You can have a couple flaws on your team and still succeed. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they take that next step. Obviously, I do think they're going to make some moves because you need to sometimes make some moves in order to figure out the best version of your roster. But there's just so many encouraging things from this from the season that you can take away. And also, by the way, you're able to get 2 first-round picks in a loaded draft that you can not only use to select players, but you could also potentially use them to trade your picks away. So that's going to be very encouraging. So yes, I just went on a little bit of a tangent, but it's all related to the Atlanta Hawks. And let me know, guys, in the comments down below what you guys think of the Atlanta Hawks. What's that one word for you to describe that you would use to describe the Atlanta Hawks season? Encouraging is definitely my word. But now let's move over to the draft because, again, they do have 2 first-round picks. So we're going to simulate a mock draft. But first, before we do that, we're going to address their biggest need, because I do think when you're drafting, you got to kind of address your biggest needs. So bam, there's the depth chart. This kind of gives us just a little good idea of what their team's looking like right now. Currently, you got Dyson Daniels and CJ McCollum as your 2 point guards. Then you got Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Corey Kispert as your 2s. As your 3s, you got Kuminga and Rish Hasse. As your 4s, you got Jalen Johnson and Muhammad Guy. You can also throw Jonathan Kuminga in there if you want. And then Okongwu and Jock Landale, who will be a free agent, as your 5. So overall, looking at this, you're pretty set. Obviously, you could improve your guard play. You could improve your center play a little bit. So those are going to be the names. And this is actually it's a really good situation. You have the 8th overall pick. There's like 6 to 8 solid guards that you could take. So I don't think you have to worry about moving up if you do want to keep the pick. Like, look, they have pick 8 out of the top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the top 10 are guards, and we know there's going to be a couple forwards that go. Devonta, Bouger are going to go. So take away those. Out of the top 8, which you have, there's 6 guards. Most likely you're going to be able to come away with one of those guards. So we're going to start the simulation. We're going to run ATL. We're just going to go 1 round, but I clicked on 2. So yeah, the top 3 go normal. Kingston Flemings. Oh my gosh. What is going on? Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you guys didn't watch my Bulls video, I did say, as the Bulls are, thinking about this, I would consider not taking Caleb Wilson, because you have the forwards in Modest and Noah Songay and Patrick Williams and stuff, and take a guard, because there's so many good guards to pair alongside Josh Giddey. This is the first time, I think maybe there's been one other time, that ESPN analytics.com/NBA draft simulator, this NBA draft simulator, has taken a guard. And then I would think, okay, then the Clippers are saying, oh yeah, we can take Caleb Wilson. That's what I've seen. This is the first time where Caleb Wilson has potentially dropped all the way down to 6. We'll see what happens. If it happens again, okay, no, it doesn't happen. Okay, I was like, what's going on? But this has been an interesting thing. Keenan Wagner keeps falling in these drafts. I would say he should be a top 6, top 5 pick, but that just keeps not happening, which is very interesting. So, Darius Acuff, y'all know how much. Dude, this is perfect. Okay, I'm sorry. You're going to think this is rigged. You're going to think, if you've been watching me at all, you know how much I love Darius Acuff. He's probably my favorite player in this draft, right? Darius Acuff Jr., I love the guy. The Hawks, I probably glaze the most besides the Hornets and the Timberwolves, because the Timberwolves are my team. I don't know why I just like the Hornets a lot. And then I love the Hawks. Darius Acuff gets to go to the team I glaze the most. Like, are you kidding me? Come on, bro. Let's go. Dude, it's a perfect fit. It's just a perfect fit. I don't know why I'm getting so excited about this, bro. It's crazy. I warned you. I warned you that this was going to be a weird episode. Adai Mara is probably my second favorite player in the draft. Unfortunately, he is not even going to get a chance to go to the Hornets or the Heat or a team that needs a center, maybe like the Golden State Warriors. This is a very weird draft so far. I don't think they trade up anymore. Michael Brown falls to the Bucks, which is cool. Yaxel goes to the Thunder, unfortunately. But yeah, so they have pick 23. I do see a vision where the Hawks either trade up to like 4 or 3 by packaging their picks. I could even see them moving up to 2 if they want Darren Peterson. Like, if that happens, oh my gosh. Okay, here's the thing. Nate Ament, I don't get why Nate Ament keeps falling like this. I legit don't. It's crazy. It's crazy that he keeps falling. So if he's still here, I'm taking Nate Ament. If you get Nate Ament and Darius Acuff with picks 8 and 23, that might be the best draft. That might be the best draft in NBA history for a specific team. That's absolutely insane. And then you can for sure trade Zachary Richasse. Like, holy cow, if that actually happens. But here's the thing. I want to go reset. I think that's the realistic thing. I'd say, well, what happens if you trade? Like, I think. Hold on. AJ Bonza sure goes. I think you could potentially convince the Utah Jazz, say you get 8, you get 23, and you can even take a first-round pick in 2032 from Houston. So that's a round 2. I need another first-round pick. Ours in 2032. You could take 3 first-round picks, but I even think 8 and 23 could be enough. Maybe you throw in a player for pick 2. I can see this, and if they get Darren Peterson, they're winning the championship. I guarantee it. But I don't think that. But that's just something that could happen. I don't think it hurts the Jazz too much. They can still get a solid guard. Like I'd be interested to see. Let's see if Caleb Wilson. See, Caleb Wilson now goes there. Keenan Wagler, Brendan Burries, Kingston Fleming, and then yeah, the Jazz are able to get Michael Brown, and then I'd be interested to see who they take at 23. Like, obviously, I think they'd probably want Darren Peterson, but I've been seeing sources that the Utah Jazz aren't totally sold at taking Darren Peterson. So it could be interesting. This could definitely be an interesting trade as Adai Morrow is still on the board. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Koa Pete, what is going on? This is not real, is it? Adai Mara fell. Oh my gosh. And the Hornets didn't take. Who did the Hornets take over Adai Mara? Oh my gosh. They took Chris, bro. Oh, dude. All right. So Koa Pete and Michael Brown instead of Darren Peterson. I don't know. But if that would happen, I just said that's an interesting thing. That's definitely an interesting scenario. But yeah, I think realistically, if they can take, oh gosh, who was it? It was Acuff and Nate Ament. I think that could definitely be a very, very solid draft for the Atlanta Hawks. But trading up to 2, I think you could do it. 3 first, 2, or the 2 for this year. I think it could get it done. I think it'd be interesting. I think it would definitely be interesting. So let me know. Do you think they should trade up? Do you think they should just pick at 8 and 23? Let me know in the comments down below. But man, I'm having fun. I'm having a little too much fun, possibly. I don't know. But if you're having fun, type in the comments, we're having fun, or I'm having fun, because I'm having a lot of fun right now with the Atlanta Hawks. But now, let's have some more fun. And we're going to go to the first half of free agency, where we take a look at the team's individual own free agents. So we break free agency up into 2 separate sections. The first half is we take a look at the Hawks, or the certain teams' free agents. And then the second half is where we speculate free agency signings and trades. So the first half, here's a look at their free agents. CJ McCollum, Jonathan Kuminga, Gabe Vincent, Jock Landale, Keaton Wallace, Muhammad Guy, Tony Bradley, and then a couple two-way players. So let's get the pen out as normal. Bam. We're going to start from the bottom up. As normal, I just say these two-way players kind of decides. I'm going to give a nice little check mark here, because two-way players, they're cheap. Keep them in your organization unless they're terrible, but I don't think any of these guys are too bad. Tony Bradley, I'd say you can let him walk. He's not making a lot of money. You have enough centers in your organization. Then you got Muhammad Guy. I'd say you take his club option at $2.4 million. That's a pretty cheap club option for a good player in Guy. Then you got Keaton Wallace. Keaton Wallace now, again, cheap, but here's the thing. I don't think you need him. I think you can let him walk. Same thing with Jock Landale. I think you can let him walk. He's also not a bird, too. So the bird guys means the individual team has that little advantage that they can go over the salary cap to re-sign their own players, which is cool. But that's not the same for Jock Landale. So I think, yeah, you can let him walk. But then these 3 guys are interesting. I think Gabe Vincent, you can actually let walk. He's definitely replaceable. There's some other guys in free agency that you can replace him. I think maybe even better. Let Gabe Vincent just kind of do his thing. You got him in one of those trades, I believe. So that's that. But then these 2 guys, I think you definitely take the $24.3 million option on Jonathan Kuminga. I think you give Kuminga one shot. Hey, if it doesn't work, guys, he is under 24 years old. He'll be 24 by the time the next NBA season starts. I'd say you give him a shot. I really like Jonathan Kuminga, and I think he is a perfect fit he can even back up Jalen Johnson. I think he could be an excellent 6-man. He might even win 6-man of the year if he gets a full season in ATL. And then CJ McCollum. I've been listing a lot of teams as like, if they need a guard, a veteran guard, and CJ McCollum's a great fit. But if you can get him for like $15 million, maybe $12 million a year for like 2 years or something, take him. I think you saw him. You saw him in the postseason. I think he could really be good for this team. I'm not saying he's going to start. I don't think he starts. I think they go out and grab a starting point guard or a starting shooting guard, and then Dyson Daniels starts at either of those positions, or maybe Dyson Daniels gets traded. There's just something that we'll talk about in a second. I think you bring back CJ McCollum as long as it doesn't as long as it doesn't cost you too much money. Like if he wants $32 million again, I'd say no. If you can cut that to like 20 or below, I'd consider it. I'd probably want like $15 million or less. What's a minimum salary for him? Obviously, I don't think he'd take a minimum, but standard contract, let's say just for a 1 year, his minimum is 16 million for 1 year. So this is his for a 1 year deal. It's 16 million for 2 years. It's still, oh, sorry, that's the recommended is 16 million. So see, that's what I'd consider a 2 year deal for like 16 or something like that. I'd consider that for sure. And you're actually still in a really good situation with the salary cap. You still have enough money. So actually, I really do like that. If there's anybody else, like, see these guys, yeah, for sure. And then yeah, I just kind of let these guys walk, in my opinion. And yeah, then this has Jonathan Kuminga have 1 year left, so it's just like, yeah, we're taking the player option. So I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. Sorry, it's the club option. So yeah, that's what I think they should do in free agency. Let me know what you guys think, especially Hawk fans. If maybe you don't want Kuminga back, maybe you want Tony Bradley instead of Jonathan Kuminga, or you want Gabe Vincent, let me know in the comments down below. But this is just what I think as an outsider looking in. But now we get to the fun part, because I do think the Atlanta Hawks are going to be looking for upgrades. And there's not just upgrades in free agency, in the open market. There is some trade pieces. They're trade targets, some stars. Some may even say some superstars that I think the Atlanta Hawks should consider going after. So here's a list of my top targets. You're going to be like, what the heck, Mateo? What's going on? Well, we're going to have some fun. I told you we're having some fun. So here we go. Some free agents. The two on the top are some free agents that could be available. Norman Powell gives you a veteran guard. I think that could definitely help you. I think Rui Hachimura could help you as well. But really, we don't care about that, because I think the major moves would be a trade. Jaylen Brown, Jalen Suggs, Jamal Murray, or Rudy Gobert. We're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. Let me talk you through these quick before we go through to Fanspo to do some trades. Jaylen Brown is obviously, it makes sense. He might either be, the Atlanta Hawks have been rumored to be in that trade if Giannis ends up going to the Celtics or something like that, a 3-team trade. I don't even think it has to be a 3-team trade. I think it could literally be straight up Hawks and Celtics doing that trade. Okay? I'm leaning more towards, I don't know if it's going to happen by the time I post this video, so I apologize. I'm leaning more towards, I don't love the idea of a Jaylen Brown Giannis. Straight up. I don't love it. Okay? It works almost too well for me to like it in a sense. But it would be perfect. I think Jaylen Brown and Jalen Johnson, those two guys would be fun to watch. Jalen Suggs gives them a true point guard. I know you're saying Dyson Daniels. You have Dyson Daniels. You have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker is obviously a better two guard. I think if you have one of these point guards, Jalen Suggs or Jamal Murray, they're not going to be the major star, but they're going to be that backup star, that co-star that Jalen Johnson needs. Okay? And then I think you could survive with Nickeil as your two. Dyson Daniels is just so inconsistent, and I think you have to be okay with giving up Zachary Richardson, which I think is realistic, and then Dyson Daniels you might have to just let go. Okay? This is just my thought process here, okay? Same thing, with Jamal Murray said. It just gives them a steady ball handler, and I think that could help them postseason-wise as well. And then Rudy Gobert, they need a center. Right now you have a Kongu, you have Jock Landale. You need a center. Obviously, the Hornets need a center. I think the Hornets and Raptors might get, one of those guys might get Rudy Gobert before the Hawks do, but I'll throw Rudy Gobert in there because then we're going to end the video with another Timberwolves trade that I hinted at last episode. So if you watched yesterday's episode, you might know where we're going. It's a fun trade. I don't think it's going to happen at all. I don't want it to happen, but we'll end it with another Minnesota trade after the Gobert trade. So now let's see if these are possible, starting off with Jaylen Brown. So yes, we're going to keep the CJ McCollum. I think they re-signed him to 2 years, $16 million each of those years. We're going to keep this here just to see if this would work. So the Celtics, you'd have to figure it out. $57 million for the next 3 years for Jaylen Brown. He's making about that money each year. And to be honest, it's actually not that hard. It's not that hard. I think, when you're thinking about the Celtics, their guard play, their point guard play hasn't been the best. So this is where I do think Dyson Daniels might have to be included. But before we include Dyson Daniels, I think they'd be willing to take a risk on Zachary Richase. I think Richase could play the 3. Then you put Tatum at the 4. Then you got Derek White, Peyton Pritchard as your guards, and then you can upgrade your center at some point. Jonathan Kuminga might have to be included just for salary purposes. He'll be an expiring deal. So you go straight up. Kuminga, Richase. I need to figure out what's going on. So the Hawks are actually taking $9 million too much. So in this case, you might not have. Okay, hey, you can include Corey Kispert. I actually think that could be a solid fit. Kispert could be the backup 2 to that team, and then this should work salary wise. Yep. So you get for Jaylen Brown, you get Kuminga, Kispert, and Richase, and then obviously you'd have to include picks. I think you could keep 8, but you'd get rid of 23. You'd get rid of this 2028 pick, and you'd get rid of this 2031 pick. So 3, maybe this is even too much for Jaylen Brown. I'm not sure. But Kuminga, Richase, Kispert, and 3 first-round picks for Jaylen Brown would be accepted. It's really weird. The money works out for all of these big contracts. You also get CJ McCollum. So this is what your roster would be looking like. Hear me out. This would actually be keeping Dyson Daniels. You'd have Dyson Daniels as your starting point guard. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu. Your bench would be CJ McCollum, Gabe Vincent potentially, and then who else? You're giving up Kispert, Buddy Hield, Asa Newell. Like, you're still really deep, okay? And you get more star power. So I think this is solid. I really do. Let me know what you think Jaylen Brown's value is. And then there could be other potential trades, as I already said. So that's like the big one. Like, could we mess around with this package to make it a little bit? I don't know. Like, you could definitely throw in Dyson Daniels. But here's the thing. I think you would need somebody in return. I'm going to actually throw Kispert out of this now. So I think Dyson Daniels and Zachary Richase should be enough actually to match that salary. It's not. It's by $8 million. Okay, that actually makes it a lot easier. So you could actually throw Buddy Hield in just an older contract. So Richase, Daniels. I'd even say you just need now pick 23 and another pick in 2028. So 2 picks. And this would work if you want, but I think they would rather hold on to Daniels if they could, if they're making this move. Now, if it's a point guard move, like some of these other moves that I suggested on the list, so we're going to go with the Magic first with Jalen Suggs. I think it could definitely be a point guard swap here. Dyson Daniels for Jalen Suggs, and then you'd also include... You'd probably include, this is the thing, maybe Asa Newell. Asa Newell and Dyson Daniels for Jalen Suggs and a pick, maybe. I think you could do it. Asa Newell, again, pick 23. I think they were going to try to keep pick 8 if they can. Maybe you could even throw in that 2031 pick if you really want. It's a late pick, like 5 years down the road, and it goes through. So, again, you can do it, and then kind of same thing here for Denver. I do think Murray's value is a little bit higher. He's making a little bit more money, but you get – here's the thing. You get where did they end up? Okay. Dyson Daniels, right, to replace Murray. And then I think Zachary Richase. Is that enough? Is that actually enough? No, it's not. It's almost enough. It's $1 million shy. Okay. And maybe you could do Jonathan Kuminga. I still think you're fine if you do Jonathan Kuminga, an expiring deal. And sure, you could throw picks in if you really want, but you're acquiring actually $13 million. You're actually acquiring too much money. That's crazy. So you actually get to keep Kuminga, and you can do either Corey Kispert, you could do Buddy Hield. You could do Asanua. I think Asanua just so they can get a little younger. Again, just trying to make the salary work. It would work. And then throw in as many picks as you wish. I think realistically, again, pick 23 and then maybe the pick in 28. But because you're also getting a lot of players worth picks as well. For Jamal Murray, I mean, it's definitely interesting. So, like, I don't know. Out of those three that we talked about, the three kind of stars or superstars, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Suggs, Jamal Murray, rated in the comments at number like one. Like, who do you think the Hawks should pursue the most to worst, if you will? And then Rudy Gobert, easier, way easier to get, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know it's easier. I know I do think he has a lot bigger value than people think. I mean, he's coming off at one of his best defensive seasons. I mean, you saw what he did to Jokic. But yeah, in return, it would definitely be Zachary Richasset. It would be Jonathan Kuminga for that expiring deal. I think Kuminga would end up getting flipped and then probably pick 23 and a pick in 2031. Something like that. And it would work, right? Yeah, it would work. You could even make a case that he's worth 8. 8, and I think you could do 8 in Kuminga or 8 in Richasset, possibly. You get the 8th overall pick, Zachary Richasset, and then I thought it was okay, but it's probably not because of the retaining salary, 15 mil. So you could actually end up bringing Nickeil Alexander-Walker back. I would love that. Nickeil Richasset and pick 8 for Rudy Gobert. It actually would just be like it's under. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? All right, hold up. We're just gonna undo this McCollum salary, and it should be fine. Bro, are you kidding? We're under $1 million short. Okay, we'll just send Muhammad Guy over to the T-Wolves, bro. Oh my gosh. And bam, there we go. Okay, so see, it's possible. Again, I don't know if pick 8, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Zachary Richasset is worth Rudy Gobert. I think I'm leaning more towards like for the value, Richasset, pick 8, and maybe like Corey Kispert or something like that. I think that would work as well. But again, it's interesting to see what happens. Like, I don't know. I think out of those 4, Rudy Gobert is definitely at the end. I think maybe even out of these 6 or 7, whatever, 2, 4, 6 targets, Rudy Gobert is the last priority for the Atlanta Hawks to sign. I think Jaylen Brown, Jalen Suggs, Jamal Murray definitely up there high. Hachimura and Powell, if you can't get a deal done, some easy signings that you can do. You just have to make some salary room for them. But yeah, it's very interesting. Let me know if you guys liked any of these trades. But of course, I did promise we were going to do one crazy trade. Anthony Edwards. It's not going to happen. I don't want it to happen. He's my favorite player in the league. I'm a Timberwolves fan. I don't want it to happen. But he's from Atlanta. And I'm guessing, I would be a fool not to say there's a chance that he ends up playing in Atlanta at some point in his career. Well, what would be his trade value? Well, it would be definitely Zachary Richasset, but I don't think he's valued much. We'd also get Dyson Daniels. We'd also get Jonathan Kuminga probably just to match the salary, right? It would just be to get the salary there. We're actually taking in too much, so hold up. We have to give up another salary just to make this work. All right, who will we send over there? We'll send Terrence Shannon over there just for the heck of it, just to make the salary work. And then we would not only want pick 8, but we would take also pick 23. We would also take your pick this pick in 28. We'd take this pick in 2031. Sorry, no, 2030. And your first round pick in 2032. It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 first round picks: Dyson Daniels, Zachary Richasset, and Jonathan Kuminga. That is, you can take away some of the picks if you really want. But that is what you'd have to do in order to get Anthony Edwards and Terrence Shannon Jr. It's not going to happen, but aside, why not? Let's have fun. I think more realistically, it's going to be Anthony Edwards just not signing a contract extension in Minnesota and signing with Atlanta. I feel like that would be the realistic thing to happen. But anyway, that's not realistic for this season whatsoever. So again, those are my top targets for Atlanta: Norman Powell, Rui Hachimura, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Suggs, Jamal Murray, Rudy Gobert as well. Maybe some other guys, Jakob Poeltl, maybe Wendell Carter, some other centers that could help them upgrade Nneka Okongwu, who's not really terrible. It's just you maybe need an upgrade to compete in the East. But now this brings us to our last part: ceiling and floor, where if you guys don't know, there's going to be 2 bullet points. It's going to say without the moves I suggested. It's going to then have a ceiling. The floor is obviously being the worst team in the league. And then it's going to say with the moves I suggested. So bam, here it is. Without the moves I suggested, I think this team is capable of reaching the second round. I don't think any farther than that, though. But as I said, with some of these moves that I suggested, maybe bringing in a guy like Jamal Murray or Jaylen Brown or Jalen Suggs or maybe even Rudy Gobert could turn them into a contender, especially in the Eastern Conference, maybe just to win the entire thing. I'm super high on the Hawks. Let me know if I'm too high, if I'm too low. I don't know. But let me know what you guys thought. I love interacting with you guys. So please let me know what you guys think about this video. But come back also tomorrow for day 20. We got day 20 of 30 teams in 30 days coming up tomorrow. We got the Toronto Raptors, who definitely need a center. Maybe Joel Embiid. We've already done a trade with the 76ers video talking about a potential Joel Embiid trade to the Toronto Raptors. That and so much more on tomorrow's episode. Then we got the Timberwolves on the 21st of June. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell button on so you never miss any other episodes. And most importantly, don't forget to keep God first, because he's the most important thing in your lives. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.